for my son. He said, hey, Dad, why don't you wear these glasses in your next video? And I was like, you know what? Why not do it on the live, man? So I came with a little Bret the Hitman Hart look. So shout out to my man, Bret the Hitman Hart. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the wrestlers back in the day, man, that we used to watch. Shout out to my man, Macho Man Randy Savage, who was known for his glasses game. And you guys know the deal, man. Let's roll.
Let's roll. I got something for you. I got something for everybody. Let's see. We're gonna have a game. I want Robin. You just nod your head when you know who the artist is, and everyone else, you type it as fast as you can. All right, here we go. All right, turn the volume down. Just a couple of seconds. Try not to get flagged. I looped the same seconds. Robin, is that a yes, you know? Well, listen, or you're not sure? You don't have to answer it.
When I hear this beat, I immediately think of my man Nate Dogg and Warren G, man. I got to be honest with you. I know we know it's a remake, but that's immediately what my mind goes to.
I understand.
I start thinking about Above the Rim.
I was an undergrad when Warren G and Nate Dogg came out. I was in college. So, of course, this was played all the time. So my brain goes there too. Now, some people are putting it in the chats. They know the original. I think it's funny. Hey,
AOH, hold on. Can I just say something real quick, though?
Yeah.
The other day, I was watching the movie Young Guns. I don't know if you know Young Guns, the movie.
Yeah, of course.
Or if anybody on the chat, you guys remember the movie Young Guns. A shout out to the Regulators, because that's, kind of like what the movie is talking about, and with the song, in the beginning, that Regulators mount up.
Right. All right, so I'm just going to say it. That was Michael McDonald. I can't forget.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I knew that wasn't an original beat. I knew it was a remake, the beat when Warren G and Nate Dogg did it. But like I said, the time that came out, to me, whenever I hear that, I immediately think of, Warren G, Nate Dogg.
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. I keep forgetting, so I hate to misquote title. But yeah, so either one, whichever one you knew first, they're both good beats.
For real.
All right,
yo, shout out in the chat, man. I see you guys. King Speech Roll, he knew the deal. McZuggins, I see you out there. Hoop Oracle, what's going on? Omar, shout out to you guys, man.
Round Earth creates technical difficulties. I get it, Robin. McZuggins with the smart ass. Early in the morning.
It's Friday, baby. It's Friday.
If only we had a flat Earth, you might not have these problems.
If only. If only a lot of things, man.
Man. I have a quick question for everybody, because I was seeing some of Jordan versus LeBron, the channel that puts out a lot of those graphic posts, showing how much help LeBron has had compared to Jordan. And I noticed
Jordan versus LeBron, the YouTube channel. Much respect, man. He shows my channel a lot of love. So shout out to my man over there.
What do people think when they think of an all-star? Do you have to be an all-star that season? Or can you say, yeah, he's an all-star player because he was an all-star at some point in time, therefore he's proven that he's of that caliber? You might not get voted in some seasons, but you've kind of shown, yeah, but I'm in there. So when you see people on the court, if they're not an all-star that season, do you still say they're playing with an all-star? Robin, you go first.
I mean, listen, that's a tough question, because like I said, I think there's a lot of things that we can think about. I don't know if I could just say yes or no in one sense, because I think it depends on, how that player became an all-star. Was that player an all-star before they came to play with that player? And then maybe they weren't an all-star alongside of that player? Or did that player become an all-star playing alongside that player? Did that? I don't know, man. Like I said, to me, that seems like a tough question to answer, in a word or one sentence. Because like I just said, if we think about the dynamics with some of the great players and the impacts they've had on their teammates, like I said, some of these guys are all-stars, not because of their teammates, like all because of them, but would we say like they would be all-stars without playing alongside those players? I don't know if we can say that for certain. So I think there's different ways that we can think about that angle. I think it's a great point or a great thing, topic that you bring up.
Yeah, I don't know the right answer. I actually just wanted to get people's opinions. The reason, again, shout out to don't let me say it wrong. Is it LeBron versus Jordan or Jordan versus LeBron?
Jordan versus LeBron.
Yeah. So he's got a shitload of information packed into these little graphics. It's too small for my old eyes to read half the time, but there's good information in there. But I noticed that even with LeBron still having more all-stars by far than Michael Jordan, he wasn't including anyone that wasn't an all-star that same season. If he did, LeBron would have an all-star every season and then a pretty long list of them to that end. So right. That graphic, depending on how you want to present things, that graphic could have been even more dramatic in terms of all the help that LeBron has had.
I think the interesting thing about, like I said, when we talk about LeBron James, I guess in this example, versus someone like Michael Jordan, like you said, the YouTube channel, Jordan versus LeBron, once again, shout to him. What we've always talked about is Michael Jordan and a lot of the other great players raising the level, like raising the ceiling of some of these other guys. So that's always been the problem for LeBron James, man. In my estimation, he hasn't maximized any of these guys. So they've always played down a level. So whether they've made an all-star appearance or not, playing alongside LeBron James, there's a lot of those guys that we can look at and we can easily say, LeBron James could have easily made these guys into all-stars, or they could have developed into something of an all-star type of player. Maybe not perennial all-stars where they're all-stars every single year, but maybe guys that are fringe all-stars. When we think about the Horace Grants, the BJ Armstrongs, right? Those kinds of players, the development that they had, the confidence that they gained, that was going through the fire alongside Michael Jordan all those years, him pushing them in the practices and things of that nature. Those guys weren't better because they played with Michael Jordan on the court. They were better because of everything off the court that Michael Jordan forced them to do. So the standard that he held the Bulls to, right, that standard of excellence and greatness in the practices, all the training sessions, running the suicides, right? We heard the story. They said, they were out there trying to beat. Craig Hodges said, they was coming to practice ready, trying to beat Michael Jordan suicides. These dudes are younger than Michael Jordan. Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen, and they couldn't beat him. That was a standard he held himself to, and he held them to. What do you think that does? Think about that, guys. When Craig Hodges says these guys were coming there trying to beat him, if Michael Jordan wasn't holding that standard, then they wouldn't have the mindset to come to beat him because he wouldn't have been holding that standard. There would have been no competitiveness like that. So what he did was he raised them up just by having his standard that way. By him maximizing those suicides and giving that effort at the simplest thing in practices, that made those guys greater and better. Michael Jordan guarding him. I remember Craig Hodges telling the story of Scottie Pippen coming to practice in like 1990 or something like that. And he said that he called out Michael Jordan in practice one day, right? He was starting to feel himself. Remember, Scottie Pippen made an all-star in 1990. All of a sudden, he calls Michael Jordan out, and he said that Michael Jordan proceeded to destroy him, and Scottie Pippen told him to take it easy and slow down. This is what happens. The same thing he did to Scottie Pippen in the charity game. Michael Jordan maximized his teammates, man. He made these guys look better than they were. He made them appear to be greater than they were. So you remember them as being better than they were.
Robin, you're going to love the video I'm working on. It's taken me longer than I thought, but it basically proves what you just said in terms of teammates. We're going to talk about it later in the video because the research I did just makes Kelvin Washington not just look like a fool, but a lying fool. We're going to come back to that. The Real Siberius, thank you for our first super chat. But before I read the Real Siberius's chat, someone named, I think it was Jerome, I put it on the screen earlier, pointed out that Michael McDonald, although Warren G and Nate Dogg sampled Michael McDonald sampled an old blues song. And I looked it up really quick while you were ranting. And it does say that similarity to Chuck Jackson's 1962 song, I Keep Forgetting, resulted in sharing writing credits for the song I Keep Forgetting. Although it also says that McDonald wrote the song originally in 1982. So apparently it was similar enough that you had to admit that Michael McDonald was also inspired by someone else. Thank you for the history lesson. I always like to give credit where credit's due. So
yeah, hell, you know what that speaks to, and shout out to whoever said that, and like I said, giving us that education right there and letting us know the facts and the history right there. Once again, giving some historical perspective. What that speaks to is how music evolves and how people, borrow from other greats and being inspired. You said being inspired by other music, and what it also speaks to is, like you just highlighted, when you played that small clip. Really, if you think about it, the song that you may have remembered may be because of a certain point or where you were at a certain part of your life.
Of course.
So, right, yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and I think that's what that speaks to.
Speaking of due diligence and research, I was just laughing to myself the other day when I was fact checking that dipshit on The Odd Couple, and my first results, you know how now it shows you AI's result first? And I'm like, well, AI fucks up. I'm going to cross-reference. I'm going to cross-reference and do extra work to make sure that I don't end up accidentally lying. And it was so fucked up to me that that's more responsible journalism than we see from professionals. I mean, that should not be the case, Robin. I put in more effort to make sure I delivered the facts than Kelvin Washington does, and he gets paid a lot of fucking money. I don't know how much it is, but it's more than I do.
Yep.
Why do we live in a world where top to bottom it doesn't matter if people lie anymore? When exactly? Maybe am I being nostalgic that it ever was better than that?
And you know what's crazy? We've talked about some of these things, or we've alluded to some of this stuff. AOH, what you're talking about right now, and we talked about how the burden is supposed to be on them. That's the burden that they have. These guys are supposed to be honest, man. They're supposed to be journalistic integrity. They're supposed to be giving you the facts, the historical perspective. It's their job to know this stuff. That's why I say, how do these guys end up on TV? It baffles me.
Cherry on top,
these
Robin.
guys get these platforms.
If I'd gone with an inaccurate AI report, it still would have been closer to the truth than Kelvin Washington. I would have done better with an inaccurate AI fucking result than what Kelvin Washington brought to the table.
And see, and that's the sad reality. Like you said, man, where's the standard for them? We talk about the standard in the NBA and how it's been lowered. These guys are allowed to take 3, 4, 5 steps, however many steps they really want to take, depending on how the referee feels, I guess, that day. They're allowed to do all these things. We get all that. So the same thing for the guys out there broadcasting, the same thing these guys doing, the journalists, these guys that are supposed to be giving you some kind of, educational take here. These guys are supposed to be giving you something, man, and they're not. But there's no standard that they're held to come out here and give you the facts. It's insane for this guy and a lot of the guys just like him to have the platform they have and to continue to speak. And like I said, the sad reality is when you listen to them, I don't know how old a lot of these guys are, and I don't like to put age into a lot of this stuff. But my problem is a lot of these guys seem so invested in times and eras that they don't even know. So that's when I feel like the age is valid for you to bring up, because if you're going to have such a strong opinion on these eras, myself included, if I'm going to talk about the guys in the 50s or the 60s, the 70s, I have to be educated on the facts. I have to be informed by people that actually do know about these things because they studied it or they actually watched it, they lived through it, whatever the case may be. I doubt a lot of these guys actually lived through this stuff. They watched it or they've actually researched and looked into a lot of the stuff or even understand what the hell they're even looking at when they watch these videos and watch the research.
I'm going to get to some super chats. And the real Siberius responds to something we were saying earlier. I think all-star is a misnomer. Are you trying to be funny by imitating fucking JJ Redick? I think super team is a bit of a misnomer. You fucking dipshit, JJ. It is often misconstrued as all-time great, and they are very different. All-star has been diminished in the new era. That's for damn sure. That's another thing that it doesn't matter anymore. Sadly, you just get voted in there. And the fact that fans can vote you in. We often use the fact that Yao Ming was an all-star simply based on the voter population. But, nothing against Yao Ming, but it just shows you how it can go. If Yao Ming had been terrible, he probably would have still gotten the votes, right?
Right. I think the all-star selections matter for the lesser players. That's when the all-star selections might matter. And the way that it would matter is in them maybe having the chance to get into a Hall of Fame, let's say. If you're a borderline Hall of Famer, I mean, and let's be real, the Basketball Hall of Fame standard has been immensely low. I mean, if we talk about standards being low, the standard for the Hall of Fame, my goodness. I mean, I just don't understand why the Basketball Hall of Fame would lower their standards to such a degree when it's really weird, the guys that they have in, but the guys that they don't have in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, what's really your standard here to get into the Hall of Fame, man? Because to me, there are a lot of guys that should be in based off of the guys that are in. And there are guys that they're talking about are going to get into the Hall of Fame that I'm like, how the hell are these guys possibly getting into the Hall of Fame? But that's another conversation for another day, man. But, when we talk about, some of these other guys, man, the all-star selections matter if you're one of those guys. If you're a fringe all-star player and maybe you've made 3 or 4 all-star selections, maybe 5 or 6 all-star selections in your career. But the top guys that are the all-time greats, these guys have all been to the all-star game 10, 11, 12 times. I mean, like, really, what are we doing here? When they celebrate LeBron James for going to the 20th all-star game, come on, man. Like I said, what are we celebrating here?
It's something to add to one of those lists from that rant you did a long time ago, comparing LeBron's accolades to Jordan's.
I mean, they voted him last year, and he load managed on these people. I mean, just think about it. That's a slap in the face to all you LeBron James fans out there.
Does that go?
Literally voted this man in. Millions of people voted this freaking idiot, and he load managed on you people.
So is the fact that he dropped out at the last minute, is it still on his resume as that he was an all-star last year?
I'm pretty sure that still goes on his resume as an all-star. He was voted in.
Piece of shit.
I don't think whether you play or not has anything to do with that. You still get that.
He didn't just not play. He fucking gave a big middle finger to the all-star game and fans hours before the game. There was no other time that I could have let anyone know.
Like, look at the way he did it. And then this man had a nerve to come out there and take pictures with guys in their uniform while he's wearing street clothes. Yeah. How weird and cringe is that? This is corny, man. Like, stop it. What that shows in highlights is LeBron James literally went out there for the fame. The fame.
Nino Brown. Katie talking bad on MJ. Bozo.
Exactly.
We're going to get to it.
Shout out to Nino Brown, man. Shout out to you, man. It's been a long time.
Jolly Joshams, your first mistake is to think these guys are journalists. Yeah, as Rick Beaker says, they're opinionists. But they're stupid opinionists. I'll listen to an intelligent opinionist. What they actually are is clickbait artists, no integrity. Well, that's fucking for sure.
No, Jolly Johnson, that's a great point. When we talk about how a lot of these guys are the clickbait, that's what it is about. Like I said, man, we not agree on everything. A lot of people don't like some of the stuff that I say. I'm too loud for them or whatever the case may be. But at least I'm consistent, man. I'm going to hold on to my integrity, damn it. So you can't never say that I'm all over the place flip-flopping. These people, how do they have any credibility?
Gilbert Arenas is on the wrong side of history. FYF, wrong side of history. These people... I mean, if you're this messed up at that age, I don't suppose you're ever going to change. But you like to think that it would be a point of shame sometime when they're old men looking back at how they behaved, telling lies for some reason that we're still mystified by. Gilbert Arenas has said that he says ridiculous shit just to get clicks. So, and I've said before, either way, you're a piece of trash. You either intentionally lie for a living or you accidentally lie for a living. Which one are you proud of exactly?
Yo, AOH, I want about the All-Star thing for a second. I just go back to that for 1 second. I want everybody to think about it. How valuable are the All-Star game selections when you're playing in the most nonsensical All-Star games in the history of the All-Star games, man? Does anybody really represent or respect those All-Star games? Come on, man. Those All-Star games were a joke. Those ones shouldn't even count. They should get rid of all those all-star games for all those years that they made these people actually have and sit through. That's an embarrassment, man. The all-star games that guys got selected to in previous eras were legit all-star games with legit pride on the line, with legit Eastern versus Western Conference pride and bragging rights on the line. It was there, man, and we saw the effort. I told you, I was watching the all-star game in like 91 or whatever it was, and they had like 3 straight shot clock violations out there. That's how much defense these guys were playing. Shot clock violations. Imagine that in today's All-Star game. That's a joke, guys. You're not going to see that. There were guys fouling out in those All-Star game, guys. I'm telling you, it was just different. Those All-Star games were earned, man, and those guys hustled.
I've featured those things. You're not lying. I've featured those things in videos. Damian Lillard getting All-Star MVP might be the most worthless accolade ever, which, again, that's not true of the past. If you were the All-Star MVP, it mattered. Now it's a fucking maybe a point of shame. So keep racking up. I don't know how many All-Star MVPs LeBron got, but some of them were during the joke era of the All-Star game.
Yeah, Team LeBron versus Team Curry. You know, Team Giannis versus Team LeBron. Like, get out of here with this nonsense, man. I mean, they do all kinds of weird stuff.
Is the World versus USA actually happening, or was that just an idea for this coming year?
Yeah, I think I heard that's what they're supposed to be doing.
It's happening.
I think so.
Interesting.
That is going to be interesting. I mean, like I said, once again, we went to the East versus West, or we went back to the East versus West, and now we're going back to something else. You know, like I said, you know, something like that just shows you and highlights that the NBA is far from where it was as far as the quality of game you're getting on the basketball court, the quality of effort that you're getting consistently. You wouldn't need to be doing all this nonsense if the game was great. I mean, think about the slam dunk contest. You know what I'm saying? And I know we've talked about this many times, but it's not even about it kind of like falling off the way it has, but I want everyone to remember what it really used to mean. I think that's really what's really important here. It's not like, oh, you know, the slam dunk contest, you know, whatever, it was really nothing. No, the slam dunk contest was a big deal. It was a big, big deal, guys, to go out there. It was prestigious to go out there and not just to try to win it, but just to go out there and give the effort and be out there. It was like an honor. I told you, yo, I did a video. Dr. J was like 35 years old when he did this last slam dunk contest, man. And LeBron James didn't want to do it when he was 19. Like, come on, man.
Just a messenger. That vid by Uncut the other day was awesome to watch. Even in a loss, MJ praised his team and his opponents. He said, we got to get better. And you didn't hear check my stats or it's just basketball. Interesting. If anyone could have used the line check my stats, it would have been Jordan back during those early struggles. It's amazing. It's amazing how people criticize Jordan for those years when they were absolutely astonishing to watch. Watching him play was just amazing. And LeBron fans want to hold that shit against him. As my video that I've been working on for days is going to painfully point out, the Bulls did very, very little for Michael Jordan, whereas the Cavaliers actually did a shitload for LeBron James. And yet the story is that the Cavs did nothing, according to people like Kelvin Washington. We're going to get to this later. It's the absurdity is just it's a mountain of absurdity. Thank you for that super chat, Just a Messenger. And really? The real Siberius, get rid of the All-Star game and the title of All-Star. Yeah. It's just gimmick after gimmick with the NBA. The desperation level.
If the NBA threatened that, if they were like, hey, we're going to take away the All-Star game designations or the All-Star designation, you guys are not going to be getting any All-Star game selections anymore, these guys would be in an outrage, man, because a lot of these guys, it matters to them. Because I said for some of these guys, that is the difference in their careers to say that they were an All-Star X amount of times, man. So, you know, if you start holding these guys to any kind of standard, once again, then maybe these guys will start giving the effort out there. It's really laughable that these guys talk about all-star selections for someone like LeBron James. Like I said, no one gives a damn. Like I said, when the man gets voted, don't even show up.
Again, for the viewers, the core of the show is going to be shitting on Kevin Durant and me giving some details about the Kelvin Washington video I'm going to put out. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're
We
warming
talk
up.
about random stuff. You guys know that, man. That's the thing about me and the Czar, the video footage. You don't know what, I mean, damn it, man. We were talking about all kinds of stuff the other day, man. So, like I said, the topics that we get on, the conversation that we have on these live streams, you ain't going to get anywhere else, guys. Once again, man, we hitting you guys the facts.
I'm not apologizing. I'm just letting people know who want to fast forward. It's here. And after the pre-record, Apollo says,
Got my shades on. I ain't playing with y'all today.
LeBum's dunk package. It's all one-handed tomahawks. Yeah. Even the high school.
Hello.
Even the high school dunk contest, didn't he get out dunked and they gave it to him anyway?
Yeah, so I guess supposedly what happened during that dunk contest versus I think it was against Shannon Brown. Shout to Shannon Brown, man. He was a good jumper. They said that Shannon Brown was trying to do a more spectacular dunk, so he missed, I think, his first attempt. So he didn't get as great of a score or support or something like that. But let's be real here, man. Shout out to Paolo for coming through with the super. When we talk about the dunk, what really bothers me about LeBron James and his lack of overall bag, let's think about his bag when it comes to dunking. He ain't got a bag when it comes to dunking. But what bothers me about it is that LeBron James himself will put himself in the conversation of the great dunkers. So he'll say, yeah, I'm one of the top 5 dunkers. I've heard him say this many times. He always puts himself in the conversation of the Michael Jordans, the Dominique Wilkins, the Vince Carters, the Sean Kemps, the Dr. J's, right? The all-time great dunkers, the guys that you think about when you think about great dunkers. Kobe Bryant, these guys that can get up and do something when they get up in the air, man, that look good while they were doing it. They had an array of different kinds of dunks, man. And there are many, many other great dunkers that I would have put above LeBron James, man.
There was actually some nervousness involved. I remember watching it. I'd gather we planned around the dunk contest, and you'd go to somebody's house and get around the fucking giant box TV and watch that thing.
Word.
And flip through the 3 channels until you found the dunk contest. But it was a battle. Like there was no. And there weren't any gimmicks. You couldn't hide behind the fact that you had a partner. You brought out a car. It was the basketball player coming out and having to defeat someone else with his raw athleticism and creativity. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Not this, we're going to give you X seconds to complete this and then move on. And no, these guys had to like dunk all fucking afternoon. It was a battle.
Like you say, AOH, you hit it on the head. You say creativity. That's the key word there. And that's the kryptonite for LeBron James. He lacks creativity. But the real issue, and I think the real indictment on LeBron James is, once again, it's not even that if he would have won or lost to me, that he was scared enough just to go out there and compete. Because he's LeBron James. He would have got decent scores regardless. Maybe he wouldn't have won the slam dunk contest. I don't believe he would have. But at least you went out there and competed, man. And that's all that matters. Because that's all the great dunkers could hope to do, is go out there and honor the slam dunk contest by going out there and competing. And the thing that I always loved about a lot of the great dunkers, and I remember Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan talking about, is how they never rehearsed these dunks beforehand. They never thought about these dunks or practiced them at home or, wherever they were. They came out and they let their creativity flow in the moment. Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins always talked about that, and I always respected that, man, because here you have two of the greatest dunkers, but not only the greatest dunkers in the contest, but Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan are two of the elite dunkers in games in the history of the NBA, man, and the creativity of those in-game dunks, like I said, LeBron James can't sniff.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the NBA is now satisfied just to take whoever the hell it's capable of dunking and showcasing them. That's a special element that I think people have forgotten, that not only are these guys the best on the court, now they're competing with each other to see, yeah, well, I can beat you over here. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. The best of the best competing in every level, not fillers, not guys, well, you can jump, so we'll put you in it. Anyway, I got to read this super. Justin Messenger says the guys in the chat want Robin to be Randy Macho Man Savage every time he agrees from now on. Here it is. The rest of the show, anytime you agree with what I say, you've got to say, well, I'm not going to do it. You do it. You do the, oh yeah.
You guys are really gonna try to have me destroy my voice here today. Don't y'all get me hyped, man. Don't get me started. Listen, man, I was a huge wrestling fan, a huge WWE fan back in the day, man. I was young. Shout out to anybody that was, into wrestling or watched wrestling growing up or continues to watch wrestling. I actually know a guy that does amateur wrestling on the side. So shout out to my man Joe, who does a little wrestling on the side, man. But I hit you guys with a Macho Man Randy says he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Macho Man. So shout out to him. I remember the Ultimate Warrior is one of my favorite guys. Guys like Ricky the Dragon, Steamboat, and Coco Beware, and Junkyard Dog, and a lot of the guys that we remember back in the day. Shout out to Ric Flair. So shout out to a lot of those guys, man. Once again, Andre the Giant. My son talks about Andre the Giant to this day, man. So you guys know the deal. You guys remember those Slim Jim commercials? Snap into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. Mean Gene.
The rest of the show, Robin. Rest of the show. I hope you don't agree with this next super chat because you know what you're gonna have to do. LeBum. In fact, read the whole thing.
Shout out to Animaniac89, who has been a true supporter, as you guys can see, a member for 14 months. So shout out to Animaniac89 for always coming through, supporting the channels. Like I said, man, it's truly humbling, guys, for real. LeBum is the least successful industry plant in history. He has given all the advantages. He was given all the advantages and still has a losing finals record and 2 bronze medals. Not 1, but 2. Oh, yeah. Listen here, Mean Gene. Listen, I'm telling you, though, for real, when you think about what my man Animaniac said right there, that's the true indictment on LeBron James. All the advantages that he's had on his side throughout his career, and yet you still have a losing record. That's the indictment on him.
I have on my list to maybe talk about Cooper and Bronny for a little bit. Maybe at the end. I don't know. Or did we just knock it out really fast?
Did you see any of the game? I did not see any of the game.
No, I'll say this. I saw a headline that said that they threw up a brick fest, and then I watched an ESPN clip that actually had some highlights, and Cooper Flagg had some pretty good moments.
What I heard from the YouTube streets, I heard on the grapevine, so to speak, is that there was really nothing to talk about, and that neither one of them really did much. I don't think Cooper Flagg scored, but 10 points in the game. Now I get it. I don't know how long these guys played. Like I said, I didn't watch the game, so I shouldn't even be speaking, I guess. But like I said, I don't think there was anything to really talk about.
Yeah, I mean, and Bronny shouldn't be on the floor, and he's up against the number 1 draft pick, but of this year, I saw there was a steal. Cooper Flagg stole the ball and took it coast to coast to dunk, and as his very first play, and then he had some jumpers, and then Bronny got a steal on him. But why Bronny was guarding Cooper Flagg is pretty interesting in the first place. That's quite the height difference. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the sad reality for the Los Angeles Lakers might be that LeBron James Jr. might be their best defensive player, man. That might be the sad reality for the Lakers.
You don't think Jared Vanderbilt's a great defender?
Yeah, but are they going to play him? Is he going to be able to get those opportunities, man? They're grooming LeBron James Jr., man. He going to probably get those opportunities to go out there, man. Jared Vanderbilt,
who they play?
What he does, he ain't going to get that credit. He could be Scottie Pippen out there, but they won't give him the credit they give Scottie Pippen.
Who they play and who they should play are very different in LA.
Exactly.
It's not the same thing.
Exactly. That's why we questioned last year oftentimes why Dalton Connect wasn't getting any playing time at certain points in time of the season. We were like,
do you think that was true?
Get the kid out there.
Do you think that was true during the Showtime Lakers? I'm just thinking about the joke that Jeannie Buss turned this into. Do you think that the Showtime Lakers ever played somebody that shouldn't have been on the court just for the fucking hype?
I mean, I don't know if I could say, one way one way or the other. But when you look at the team chemistry of the Showtime Lakers, they would be or leads you no reason to believe that what they were doing wasn't cohesive. So when we talk about Magic Johnson and we talk about your leadership and we talk about someone like Pat Riley and the coaching and, like I said, the leadership that's around the team, they're galvanizing everybody. Everyone's on the same page, essentially. When you play with LeBron James on a LeBron James-led team, You don't know what page you're on. He's on page 12. Everyone else on page 3. The coach is on page 2. Luka Doncic isn't even on the right book. He don't know where the hell he is. So once again, remember when Luka Doncic first came to the Lakers? This man was scoring like 13 points. He didn't know what the hell was going on. This is what I'm talking about. But the burden was on him. He had to make the adjustments ultimately. Never LeBron James, man.
We still have to shit on KD. We're gonna shit on Kelvin Washington. We're gonna talk a little bit about conditioning, but that ties in with Kevin Durant's stupidity. So I'll just tie those in together. Let's catch up with some supers. By the way, these are badly needed and much appreciated. So very much appreciated everybody who's supering.
I get just as hyped for the Sunday show. Oh, excuse me, not the Sunday shows, but the shows overall. I get a hype for these shows, man, because of the guys, because everybody out there in the chat, man. Like I said, all the support you guys give us, it really means a lot, man. I'm not just hyped for no reason, man. I'm hyped because you guys got me hyped. Much respect to all you guys, for real, man.
Consider it the Sports and Fitness Rants Cocaine Fund. We got to keep him rolling, people. We got to keep him bringing the energy.
That's right. I know, man. These people are crazy. I keep telling those people, man, go to the fitness side of my channel, and you guys will know what I'm about, man. You guys know the deal, man.
Yes, it is not cocaine. It is exercise and health that gives you energy. And I'm going to talk about it later because I'm getting in better shape as time goes on. And guess what? Guess what my body wants, Robin? More. That's what your body responds positively.
Yo, run the money, AOH, man. Run the money. I tell people all the time, when you start moving more, your body, you're going to want to move more. It's the same thing in the other way. The lazier you are, the lazier you're going to want to be. When you start making smart nutritional choices, not being perfect when you eat, but when you start giving your body good nutrition, you're going to notice your body's going to want to crave this. You're going to start to crave that because you're going to feel better when you do this stuff, man.
We'll get back to that when we talk about Kevin Durant's stupidity. Jolly Joshams, what would you rather be, a modern all-star or an in-season champ? They're both terrible now. They're both gimmicks.
Shout out to Jolly Joshams again. That's a great question, man. But like I said, we're making a laugh at this stuff because ain't neither one of these things for real. The all-star game's a joke. And the in-season champs, man, like, come on, man. The whole thing's a joke.
The sad thing is the All-Star game was a staple. It used to be a good thing, and they've turned it into a gimmick.
Yep.
LeBron
that was essentially your in-season tournament, the All-Star game, man. You had the East versus West, man. You had those guys going out there putting on a show, man. Like I said, it was something else. And like I said, it's really sad that when we talk about this stuff, that we're speaking in the past tense. That's the sad reality here. And people try to act as if it's because of us, because of the way that we're viewing this stuff and the way that we're looking at it, and we're being negative. No, we're holding these guys to the same standard. That's what's going on here. And the standard is not the same.
Shout out to the Bucks again for not hanging that shit.
For real, shout out to them.
LeBron would dominate a standing around contest. Thank you, Jimmy James. Always good to have you here.
And like my man AOH alluded to in the last show we talked about, how would you guys feel if LeBron James was your teammate out there on the court and that's what he was doing? Standing out there, just standing there with hands on hips while everybody else is hustling back. And here goes LeBron James walking. You want to be that cherry pick guy out there on the court? They're going to clown you, man.
Yeah. Again, just imagine the excuses you give to LeBron James. Oh, that's smart basketball. You got to conserve your energy. Now transport yourself to the pickup court and imagine the dude that doesn't get back on D standing hands on hips, judging all of you. Yep. And you literally say these words, that's smart basketball. Just try it. Just see if you can fucking do it. That's smart basketball.
Exactly. That's why these people don't understand simple things about sports and sportsmanship and being a competitor. They don't respect this stuff. Like I say, a lot of these people come across to me as if they've never played competitive sports. You've never been out and been competing against somebody in a sport. You've never felt that way. You've never been like, hey man, what's going on? Like I said, you yourself, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be the guy that's not hustling out there on the court? Do you want to be the weak link, so to speak? You don't want to be that guy. So you're going to at least give the effort. This man doesn't even give the effort, and then he blames his teammates.
Jimmy James, your comment gives me a chance to shout out a video. People should go and watch the one I did. LeBron reinvents or invents stand ball or something like that. But I took the TNT overtime footage from one game. And I got to tell you, it's hard to tell when the ball is live or not. It really is. You don't know if it's a timeout, a free throw, or if LeBron's actually live playing defense. You really can't tell. Anyway,
crazy, man. Like I said,
go watch it. Go watch that shit. Oh, man. Praise the Don. Read this one, Randy.
Yo, Yo, shout out to everybody that's coming through. Praise the Don, always coming through, man. For real. Can't believe the noodle. Can't believe the noodle arm, lopsided head. Hold on, I'm trying to read this.
Noodle arm.
He said it had the stones. I like that. I like that word. He said it had the stones.
Lopsided head.
He said noodle arm. Hold on. He said I had the stones to say that about MJ. They're too comfortable lying about the past errors. Yo, shout out to Praise the Don for coming through and hitting us up with a hilarious line right there. And when we talk about someone like Kevin Durant, you know, Kevin Durant has often talked about how much he respects Michael Jordan and how great Michael Jordan was. And he watched tape of Michael Jordan. He remembers Michael Jordan, all this stuff. But then you come around and you give, like I said, he didn't even mention his name. So what did he do? He said, oh, you know, some of us want to go play baseball. What do you mean some of us? What do you mean someone, somebody? Michael Jordan's the only one who did that, dude. Why are you acting weird about it?
Hold on. Picture Kevin Durant trying to play baseball for a second. Imagine noodle arms trying to swing at a major league pitch.
I'm just saying, man, like, it's really sad that Kevin Durant would take a shot like that, you know, sitting next to LeBron James too. You know, when you think about it, you're sitting next to LeBron James and you act like, that's what I'm saying. These guys change. They sell their integrity when they get alongside this dude. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, I don't even understand it.
I don't know if there's any reason to expect anything good from KD, which leads to my next question. You run into Kevin Durant and Steve Nash simultaneously on the street. Who do you slap in the face first?
Well, off that episode?
Period.
Between Kevin Durant and Steve Nash, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely slapping Kevin Durant.
But isn't Steve Nash more disappointing and that hurts more?
No, because, see, the thing about it, to me, you know, Kevin Durant has the cachet. Does he not? Steve Nash don't got cachet like that. We all know Steve Nash is a great player. But where he is in his career now, as far as being, you know, outside of basketball, being retired and, you know, not coaching right now or anything like that, Steve Nash kind of needs LeBron James in that regard. That's why a lot of us were saying Steve Nash has sold himself to get a coaching job, right? We thought that he was using this as a stepping stone to be the next coach someplace else, maybe in the future. Who knows if that's even the path for Steve Nash? But Kevin Durant don't need LeBron James, man. It's the same thing I said about Tom Brady the other day. And I'm not saying that Kevin Durant is on Tom Brady's level as far as how they're viewed as champions and things of that nature, or how they're viewed in their sport. But when you talk about the cachet that Tom Brady has, I'm like, dude, why do you have to kiss up to LeBron James? You're Tom Brady, man. So once again, Kevin Durant, where's your integrity? You're Kevin Durant, dude. You're not going to come out there and act like a goof and say stupid things because you're ultimately going to be the one that gets called out. And like the video that I did this morning, Kevin Durant, once again, is going back and forth with the people out there on Twitter, and he looks like a fool.
I get it. I agree. But the thing is, if you hold Steve Nash accountable, he doesn't need it either. Steve Nash is not poor.
No.
This is a voluntary decision. I'm pretty sure that Steve Nash didn't like spend his NBA millions buying a new car every other week, right? Don't you think Steve Nash kept some money? I think Steve Nash is fine. He doesn't need to sell his soul. And
well, was Steve Nash ever married, or was he ever divorced, or anything like that? Because if that's the case, I don't know his personal life, but a lot of those things could come into play, and I could jack you up, man.
Man, why professional athletes get married is beyond me.
Listen, you're speaking to a married man. I've been married for a while, and I've been with my wife almost 20 years, man. So once again, when we talk about those kinds of things, we talk about the word commitment. Kevin Durant talked about commitment. He don't know nothing about commitment like that, man.
I'm not. Hey, do me a favor. Read some.
You living the dream, though. My man AOH living the dream. Hell yeah.
Robin only has one answer he can give, by the way.
Once again, like I said, I'm literally living the dream, man. I literally am, man. Like I said, it's like I said, thing, man. What can I say?
I need another beer. Read some. Say hello to our people. Read some chats while I get a second beer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yo, shout out to once again to everyone that continues to come through the lives. You know, we really try to hit you guys often this summer, man. We're going to try to bring it to you guys. Me and my man AOH, you know how we feel about the support you guys give us. Shout out to my man Rob Shroom. I see you come through, man. I hope you're not skipping any meetings out there today. Shout out to Jay Rockwell. My man Lizard's Lounge, what's going on? My man Trey Cundiff, the Black Mamba. Shout out to you. Thank you very much, man. My man Pav Raj, thank you for coming through. Chris Hobbs. Yo, thank you very much. Like I said, to all you guys that continue to come through, man, and support these live streams. It really means a lot, man. It means a lot, guys. I see my man Statflation out there. Hoop Oracle's always coming through. My man LT's always there. Like I said, you guys are truly humbling that you guys continue to support us with all this, man. I know there's a lot more things that I want to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw my videos from this morning and you saw some of the things that Kevin Durant was talking about out there in his responses to some of these people out there on X or Twitter or, whatever it's called. And, Kevin Durant continues, to embarrass himself, in my opinion. That's all he's doing here. Now, Kevin Durant's a professional athlete. These guys don't know really what it means to be a professional anymore. And I get it. Everyone has a platform now, and they hear a lot of the things that we're saying. But I asked Kevin Durant this. Is anyone lying in the responses that they were giving out there on Twitter that I saw anyway? All the things that people were saying about Kevin Durant, they seem to be accurate. Yo, shout out to Austin Casey, man. Thank you very much. Yo, the glasses. Yo, shout out to my son once again, man, who asked me to wear the glasses in my next video. So I told him I'll wear it on the live, man. So once again, I came through with the Bret the Hitman hearts, the Macho Man Randy Savage glasses, the Cool Mo D's. Like I saw someone throw in the chat earlier. Shout out to everybody out there, man. But, the things that Kevin Durant was saying is once again where he exposes how he really feels about the fans and how little he thinks about us. Like, I understand that these guys playing the NBA, I get all of that. And I respect their skills. Like I've told you guys on my channel many times, you can never go to any video. And I have over 3,000 videos, guys. You can't go to any video that I got on my channel and you can catch me saying, oh, I could beat this guy one-on-one, or I was this nice or that nice. I've never bragged about my athleticism or what I did in my life or what I can do on the court versus any of these guys. I'm not that stupid. I understand where I am and who I am. I'm a fan of the game. However, I seem to have more respect for the game and more historical perspective and knowledge than a lot of these professional athletes do. So they come at us as if we can't have that knowledge or that perspective. And like I said, for a lot of these guys, they act as if they don't even know what they're talking about because they did not watch this stuff. So when I hear Kevin Durant talk down on the common people the way that he talks down on Twitter, and he'll talk about, you've never won anything in your life. That's what he told somebody. He talked about, basically trying to call them a loser. I really laugh at that because Kevin Durant, what do you know about these people you're talking to and what they've done in their life, what they've accomplished? People are raising families. Isn't that not accomplishment in people's lives? There are people that have been in their jobs for over 25, 30, 40, 50 years. My mother's been a nurse since 1977. And she's still working to this day. Isn't that not an accomplishment? But is anyone writing anything about my mother or telling stories about my mom or any of the people out there that are working 2, 3 jobs to support their families? These are the things that the common folk are doing. And at the same time, these same people are spending their last dollars to come and support the NBA players. Someone like Kevin Durant, and then he'll turn around and spit on the common man because he plays in the NBA and we don't. It's really disgusting, some of the things that this man will say to people.
So I saw a clip or a screenshot, I'm sorry, of the tweets, just one of the tweets. And he's talking about the game is faster and they run more. It's evolved. None of that's fucking true. Like these guys just get up there and say things that they think sound good. It's not, the game's not faster. These guys run less. And when they run slower. I understand that some of them are physically capable of running really fast and jumping really high when they want to. But for the most part, the game is slower. They play less. The rules have been changed to toddler level rules, so they're not more skilled. But I did a video about the All-Star game several years ago, and they interviewed Michael Jordan. I think this was like the 87 All-Star game or something. And they were talking about, yeah, it's really fast paced. And Jordan says, yeah, we'll start shooting. We'll get tired and start shooting threes late in the game. People, that's what today's game is. You're watching what tired people do. You're not watching what in shape people do. You're not watching a fast pace. Shooting threes is what you do once you've exhausted your energy. And you're pretending that it's an evolved, more challenging game. The opposite is true. It's a lazy person's game. And I'm not saying I don't want a sharpshooter on my team, but getting across half court, shooting a three and leaving is not an evolved form of basketball.
Man, that's a great point, and wait, and we mentioned something like that, as far as like these guys running in relation to how the game was played today versus in the past. Now, once again, I'm not saying that these guys are not running X amount of miles more. These people want to put their studies out. These guys with doctor in front of their name or whatever, initials they want to put in front of their freaking names, these guys, and come out here. Because it's really hilarious to me that all of a sudden now you see a lot of these quote unquote doctors coming out here. And, oh, yeah, well, I studied this really time. They're running 200 miles more a season than they did in previous. Like, stop the nonsense. You guys are still missing the damn point here. No one's saying that sports is hard or not hard. Sports is hard. Your body's going to take a beating. Your body's going to be under stress. We all play sports and understand what it takes to go out there and compete. Now, we're not saying that we're the pros, but once again, they're promoting these guys, like you mentioned, as being bigger, stronger, faster, more skilled. So if that's the case, in fact, that they are all of those things, then how come they can't deal with this? They can't deal with the increase.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. I alluded to it earlier, how your body responds to what you do to it. And these guys don't seem willing to actually put their bodies to the test and see if their bodies can respond to it. I've talked about this as an old head on the show before, but I remember the early days of football camp before the season started, and you couldn't move. Like your body, you tried to get into shape for it, but what happens in football practice, you just can't prepare for, and your body's like in pain the next day. Now, do you load manage until the next practice? No, you go back and you play through the pain until your body adjusts to it. I finally had a taste of that now that I'm an old man doing those stairs every day in addition to jogging. It's a whole different use of your muscles carrying weight up steep stairs. And the next day, kind of hurt. Next day, because I was doing it twice a day. Guess what? Doesn't hurt anymore. I'm doing the same exercise. I'm putting my body through the same shit. My body adjusted. This is what NBA players aren't doing. They're not putting their bodies through what they need to go through for their bodies to be ready for what happens. And I think that's why they're getting injured.
I mean,
they're constantly taking a break, coming back, take a break, come back. That's not conditioning.
No, you're right. That's another great point you're making. Starting and stopping. That's oftentimes why, if you ever played baseball, sometimes you could pull a hamstring in baseball easy, or you could pull a muscle in baseball easy. Because if you play the outfield in baseball, you could literally be standing around all game long. You could be in the outfield for the entire inning. And then all of a sudden, someone hits a shot in the gap. And now you're trying to sprint on a dead stop that you haven't done anything for minutes at a time. And now you're sprinting. So you can come up hobbled easily that way. When we talk about the way the game is played, and you were mentioning this, AOH, like I said, and once again on the money with this stuff, I want people to think about the footage that you see. Shout out to my man, Will Chamberlain Archive. I see him in the chat, man. Shout out to him for coming through the live stream. He's dropping some knowledge out here in the chat, I see. When you look at the video footage of a lot of those past errors, you see the big men having to run from baseline to baseline, from the block to block. Now these guys are running from three-point line to three-point line. It's not necessarily the same kind of thing. I often allude to a lot of the big men in the 90s that I grew up watching. They would run these big men ragged because they would be running down to the block, sprinting down the court, hustling down the court. So now that forces you to have to hustle and beat them to the spot, or they're going to get an easy dunk opportunity, maybe an alley-oop, or they're going to get great position down low every time if they're beating you down the court. It's a different kind of game. Like I said, the big men were running around. The game was a little bit different. So when we talk about these guys, what they're doing now, you can't say it's it's a more faster game or a harsher game, because the reality, everything that's around the game right now is countered to them and enabled them to have all the advantages. They have the advantages now, all the advantages.
I'm going to read some supers. We appreciate you guys being here. So we
guys are running around in canvas sneakers, man. Once again, anybody that's played basketball, see, this is where the dynamic comes in. If you played basketball for some time, you go outside and try to play in some canvas Chuck Taylor sneakers. They might look cool and all. You want to wear them for fashion, man, and think you look cool? Okay, go out there and play basketball. Go play some full court game. Go make some cuts. Go try to jump and block someone's shot. Go try to grab a rebound, them damn things. It's different, guys.
I tried it. I tried it 2 years ago. I was just, my feet were giving me problems, and I reached the point, and I was like, I'm just going to try these fucking things and see. Maybe less is more. Nope. That doesn't feel good. You don't want to play basketball in Chuck Taylors.
Yo, your footwear. I mean, listen, I'm always speaking for myself when I'm saying these things, guys, as far as playing and the conditions of your feet and the shoes and the footwear you have. For me, footwear when I'm playing basketball is very, very important, guys. So I tell people oftentimes, because of how my feet are, I have to wear 2 pairs of socks when I play basketball. I have to do this. I need that on my feet. Like I said, my feet are going to be on fire when I'm playing, but I also need some kind of shoe that's going to give me and make me feel comfortable and stable because of the kind of game that I play. I play a lot of side-to-side movement. You see how I speak and how I am? It's how I play the basketball game, man. You guys saw what they wrote about me in the description in that high school thing that I pulled out some whiles back. The basketball coach said I play with the reckless abandon of John Starks, man. So once again, he said if it's a loose ball, you could believe that Robin's going to be diving on the floor for it. Nice. That's how I play the game. So I need something on my feet that's going to give me some kind of support, man.
It took me until I was an old man to respect my feet. I always got the cheap sneakers at Ross or whatever, but now I realize you got to invest.
For real, man. I remember when I was playing football in high school, man, I was running around in baseball cleats in high school football. You know how different that is? You're trying to run around on a football field in baseball spikes. It's weird, man. It ain't the same. So once again, what you have on your feet matters. I remember playing football games where we had to adjust the length of our spikes. We literally on the sideline had to unscrew our spikes and screw in longer spikes because the field that we were playing on was so muddy and the traction was so poor, you needed the extra traction. So what does that do for you? That forces you to have to adjust what you're doing on the football field, man. These are the things I remember as an athlete, someone who plays sports growing up, man, that a lot of these people don't seem to understand or know about, man.
All right, we're way behind on supers. I'm going to start reading some.
I love it.
CGP. KD and LeBron always whine and cry about being respected, but in the same breath, they have the nerve to disrespect, good point, the legends before them. They have no morals. They don't. I mean, these guys have gotten away with living in a delusional form of reality. I don't know what else to say, CGP. You nailed it.
Nailed it. Shout out to CGP.
Roland Curtis of Vermont Avenue. Go ahead, Robin.
Yo, once again, Roland Curtis coming through. I can't recall LeBron dunking on centers. I remember when MJ dunked on Mutombo and Mourning. Is MJ's dunk on Ewing the greatest in-game dunk ever? Yo, shout out to Roland Curtis for coming through and giving us another angle to think about when we talk about dunkers and great in-game dunkers. The reason
the hesitation move when he lost like multiple defenders on the baseline and then finished it by dunking on Ewing.
Right? Faked one way, came back around the double team of Charles Oakley and John Starks.
By Oakley.
Right? Came up on the baseline over the. See, and the thing about that, the thing that we respect about guys like Patrick Ewing, the thing that we respect about guys like Dikembe Mutombo, like he mentioned, the Alonzo Mournings, right? The Hakeem Olajuwons, the Mark Eatons, the Manute Balls, right? A lot of the guys that played during that time, we respect them. And the thing that we respect about them is that they actually went out there and contested shots. They weren't necessarily worried about being put in the poster. They were going to go out there and try to attempt to block you every single time. Those guys were aggressive. It really does make a difference when you talk about the caliber of big men and players that these guys were dunking on back in the day. Like I often say, could you imagine trying to dunk on Wilt Chamberlain? Could you imagine what that must have been like? That's nothing that easy, man. I mean, my God, did you see the kind of space that Wilt Chamberlain could cover? And you're trying to dunk on him. Not only that, but Wilt Chamberlain obviously played with a lot of pride, you could tell, and he was very aggressive. So for you to dunk on Wilt Chamberlain, to me, that would matter more. When LeBron James flexes after dunking on Jason Terry, that's embarrassing, especially when Jason Terry ultimately will always have the last laugh against you, LeBron James. You look stupid.
I was just thinking LeBron wouldn't want to dunk on Oakley, much less what was waiting after Oakley. Like after Oakley, you had Ewing waiting. You had a bigger dude waiting after Oakley.
Yep.
Thanks again, Roland. Lomo. Hello, Lomo. Welcome. When I was 12-ish, I'd stay up until 3 a.m. and watch WWF and NBA. It was mid-90s, old, very small cube TV in black and white, so parents wouldn't notice.
Wow. Yup. That's official, man. Yo, shout out to the WWF and the NBA, man, and people that said, like my man Lomo 12 coming through, that was out there doing that thing, staying up. Thank you for sharing your stories with us, guys. Yo, I see a comment here from my man from the Wilt Chamberlain archive. He says, I've got an old 1960 video of Oscar Robertson illustrating about how he spent 30 minutes taping his feet and wearing like 3 socks to make sure his feet were supported properly in those chucks. Yo, for real. See, thank you very much to my man over the Wilt Chamberlain archive for coming through and hitting us with the facts right there. And that's the thing I'm talking about. I mentioned I wear 2 pairs of socks when I play basketball, and I can't play without that. And you see Oscar Robertson, the great Oscar Robertson, and the lengths that these guys had to go to when they're on the court, man.
I always thought it was weird when I saw people tape their feet. I didn't get it, and now I do. I finally do.
I taped my ankles when I played football. We used to always get our ankles taped in football. We'd all go to the trainer. There'd be a long-ass line of trainer, man. The trainer hated when we had football games.
Terrence Potts says if James was 6 foot tall, he'd be another guy. Parentheses chosen. Yeah, I don't think any of us would know his name. Katie's 7 foot wingspan wasted to grab. Oh my God.
Hilarious. No, but that's great though. Shout out to Paolo. You're on the money because that's what he's doing essentially right there. Because we know he ain't used that wingspan to grab any damn rebounds. You know what was funny too? Is I said that LeBron James got closer to Kevin Durant during that episode on the podcast than he ever did during the 2017 NBA Finals, man. He was ducking the screens every which way.
Damn.
Ducking them screens all over the place. I watched them 2017 Finals. That man had 35-year-old Richard Jefferson out there guarding Kevin Durant. He had Jeff Green out there guarding Kevin Durant. He had everybody out there guarding Kevin Durant but his damn self.
Yeah, you can hardly blame him because the few moments that he was matched on him live on in history. KD, hi, in your face, LeBron.
Ducking the smoke, man. Straight coward.
Yep. And I'm curious how many people run to the excuse of, oh, you've got to match positions. No, when the best guy on your team wants to win, he says, I'm taking him. LeBron ain't going to do that because it would have been an even worse fucking shellacking than it was. Jesus. LeBron's defense is just, I can't believe people praise LeBron's defense. Anyway, let's not.
That's crazy, man. Go ahead. Keep reading.
Anyway, Lomo, linen thread hands had to play indoor sport. Otherwise he'd get blown off some course on a mild, windy day. Unbelievable. The nerve to say that live. Talking about the guy who's built like a sail, KD.
I'm saying, man, like I said, when Kevin Durant talks to people like that, like I said, it's really sad because, they live in this world, or he seems to, like I said, look at people as if they were born and they just went right to the pros. I really, like I said, like they were never fans. You guys were never fans of basketball. I thought you guys were fans of basketball. I thought that's why you guys were playing basketball. That's why you guys got into basketball. because you guys were fans of basketball. That's why we all started playing the game, because we're a fan of the game of basketball. It's not necessarily the NBA that we're a fan of. We're a fan of basketball, playing the game of basketball. You go outside in your backyard, you go outside in your driveway, you go to the court, wherever it is. You see guys shooting around, dribbling around. People like playing basketball. So I don't understand that Kevin Durant, some of these guys, they talk down to us for being fans as if they were never fans. Also, they make it really weird when they talk about us or talk down to us as if, like I just said, I've never played sports before. We played the sports that you guys did. You guys started out in grade school, right? They played in the junior high league. They played in high school, right? A lot of these guys, a lot of us did the same things that you guys did. We just did not make it to the pros. So once again, I understand competitiveness. I understand the sport that you guys are playing. I don't know why these guys act as if we don't know that. And once again, I challenge Kevin Durant to anything as far as what other sports have you played, Kevin Durant? Do you play? Have you ever played football? Did you ever put a helmet on? Did you ever put pads on? Did you ever have a concussion on the field and maybe not even realize it and just kept playing? Back in the day when I was playing football, man, when I started playing Pop Warner, when I was playing in high school, you were out there was no concussion rules. There wasn't people worried about if you were hurt or not. There were so many times that I got blindsided. I remember I was a running back, man. I had a lot of head-on collisions. And all of a sudden, you're going back to the huddle and you're a little dazed. You don't really know what's going on.
Blindsided the way that LeBron sets screens?
Exactly. You guys know what I mean?
I tell you what, you making me picture Kevin Durant trying to play football. That's pretty comedic.
I'll clean Kevin Durant up on a football field, man. Back in the day,
I would clean Kevin Durant up on a football field. That guy's so injury waiting to happen on a football field.
I'd have hurt him on the field, man. I'm telling you right now. I'd have hurt him on the field. And I'm telling you right now, like you said, that long, lanky-ass dude ain't swinging no baseball bat, man. He ain't throwing no baseball.
That's a perfect lead into this statement by Lomo. But before you do it, I think you owe the super chats that you've agreed with about 3 Randy Macho Man Savages.
Man, come on, man.
No.
Yo, shout to Alumno 12 coming through. KD of similar build as Kukoc. One had to guard 4s and 5s, not so much successfully, but had heart and brains to do it. Can you imagine KD on Malone? Yo, for real, Lomo, shout out to you. And can I get a, ooh, yeah? Because I definitely don't think that Kevin Durant's going to be able to do anything down low with a lot of those guys, like you said. I mean, just think about how the game was played. They used to run full court presses. They used to run half court traps on a lot of these guys. They would try to get the ball out of the hands of your ball handlers and get the ball into the hands of the guys that can't handle the ball. A lot of the guys today think they're better ball handlers than they actually are. So Kevin Durant, for example, his ball handling is good, but at the same time, he's allowed to get away with a lot. And because of his long arms and his long legs, his sweeping crossovers, they would be able to press him full court. Could you imagine Kevin Durant trying to bring the ball up against Scottie Pippen? I mean, it would be a nightmare for someone like him. Could you imagine someone like Muggsy Bogues pressing Kevin Durant full court? I mean, it would be a lot harder for him to dribble a ball against someone like that.
I'm demonstrating today's ball handling, by the way.
Absolutely.
And this is about the right height of dribbling also. This is stolen by any decent defender.
Yup.
If you don't mind, read King's Speech. Thank you, King's Speech.
Yo, for real. Yo, shout out to King's Speech Road, man. Always coming through. KD nor LeBron could hit 202, 3 home runs, and 30 stolen bases like Michael Jordan. Yo, for real, shout out to King's Speech Road, man. Like you said, Michael Jordan and the development of Michael Jordan. You know, I posted the other day on my page on YouTube the screenshot of that 30 for 30. And it's called Jordan Rides the Bus.
Oh, yeah.
And I challenged Kevin Durant to watch that video, that documentary. I challenged him to watch. Obviously, Kevin Durant's not listening to me. I'm just saying, I challenged someone like him or people that think like him to watch that documentary and really see the commitment that Michael Jordan made to that organization, the Birmingham Barons. Michael Jordan made more commitment and did more and had more of an impact on that neighborhood, on that local team. And the more important thing I remember hearing guys say is that Michael Jordan brought a lot of attention to us. He helped us get attention on ourselves. So that helped get those guys notoriety. You know, we often hear Scottie Pippen talk about how he didn't get notoriety because he played with Michael Jordan. And the funny thing about it was quite the opposite. The notoriety that you got was enhanced because you played with Michael Jordan. Not the opposite, you fool. Just like those guys mentioned that documentary.
I agree entirely. And I was just thinking it actually took balls, pretty good set of balls to go play baseball because you're, especially now, if you imagine it from the mindset of today's cowardly NBA players that don't want to do anything that might make them look bad, such as even entering the dunk contest. These are opportunities for Michael Jordan to tarnish the way people look at him because, oh my God, he might be human. Oh, what if he's not the best baseball player ever after being the best basketball player ever? He wasn't ever going to be the best baseball player ever. Certainly better than me. I'm guessing maybe you too. But that's not the point. The point is it didn't matter. He did it because he wanted to do it, and be damned if he ends up sucking. I'm not going to get into where he compares to other people because he actually wasn't that bad. But I'm not here to say that it was good or bad. It took balls to even do it. Just like it took balls to enter the 3-point contest. That certainly wasn't his strong point. I mean, it took more balls than somebody who should be in a dunk contest that bows out of it.
And you know what, and wait, what you were talking about there, and think about what Michael Jordan did. Like you say, you talk about the guts it takes to do something like that, right? Also, Michael Jordan, whatever he did, he earned that because he actually worked. Everything you heard from the people out there, the coaches, the managers out there in the minor leagues, Michael Jordan was one of the first guys there, the last guy to lead those batting sessions. He was putting the work in. So he was willing to humble himself and put that level of work in. When we talk about the commitment that you have to make at that point in time of your career, Michael Jordan was the most recognized athlete in the history of the world at that time. And yet he chose to ride the bus with the minor league guys and ingratiate himself with those guys and humble himself enough to know he can't just get by on athleticism in baseball because baseball is mostly predicated on your skill. It's not predicated on Michael Jordan's jumping ability or how fast he can run or any of this stuff. He actually has to develop and learn and hone the skills of baseball. You have to earn situations, all these kinds of things. But he was humble enough to put the work in, which made him improve.
I think he enjoyed the fraternity of it. I think hanging with the guys was part of his therapy. I thought that, like, just even being in the minor league instead of the major league, it's like I just need to get real for a while and ride a bus and think about things with other people. And I don't know.
Yo, Terry Francona was the manager of the team that Michael Jordan played for in the minors. If you guys don't remember Terry Francona, one of the great managers in baseball, the guy who led the the Boston Red Sox over the New York Yankees in the 2004 World Series when they came back. Another World Series, but in the divisional there. They beat the Yankees. Remember, they were down 3-1. Terry Francona was the manager of the Red Sox of those years, man. So shout out to him. But he recognized the effort that Michael Jordan gave out there, like I said, practicing, hitting and all these kinds of things.
Let's see. We've got
ALCS.
Roland wants to talk about the dunk again. What is the best in-game dunk, if not the MJ on Ewing? I mean, that's pretty goddamn good.
It's a tough question because there's a lot of really great in-game dunks. We give Scottie Pippen a lot of, flack on here. We have to, once again, always set the record straight on Scottie Pippen. But his dunk poor Patrick Ewing. His dunk on Patrick Ewing was pretty damn bad. But once again, you see what's going on there? Why is Patrick Ewing ending up on these dunks, on these posters? Because he's out there trying to block these shots. He's not running away or ducking away from the dunks or trying to act like he didn't get back. He's out there actually trying to contest these shots. So much respect to Patrick Ewing. But I think there's a lot of great dunks in Michael Jordan's career. To me, the greatness of Michael Jordan's dunks, it wasn't always necessarily like who he was dunking on or maybe when it was. It was how he looked when he did it. He always looked graceful. He always looked like he was floating, man. And he also had the thunder, the power at the same time. It was almost like he floated up to the rim all gracefully. But then when he got to the rim, it was like bang. It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Since that game took place in the Knicks game, I'll shout out John Starks because he had a pretty damn good in-game dunk on the Bulls for especially a little guy.
Yep, for real. John Starks, like I said, there's a lot of great dunkers that had great dunks in games. Like I said, even guys that we don't really remember as great in-game dunkers or great dunkers, that had their moments dunking on people in NBA's history, man. You know what I'm saying? I saw Dr. J with some beautiful dunks over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in some of those series that they had. So we could think about different players, you know, dunking on some of these great shot blockers. Like I said, the key thing is those guys came up and dunked. I think, yeah, like my man, shout out to my man Uncle Hoops. Yeah, I was just about to mention that. My man Uncle Hoops, me and me, we're thinking like alike. I was just about to mention that dunk on Bill Laimbeer that I always liked, because the dunk on Bill Laimbeer when Michael Jordan is literally fouled with two hands by Bill Laimbeer, two arms across Michael Jordan's body, and he still dunks the ball. But not only does he dunk the basketball and clearly get fouled hard, Michael Jordan just looks at Bill Laimbeer and runs back on defense. There's no need for Michael Jordan to throw himself or launch himself onto the ground, for him to flail around and be like, oh my God. And you clearly see him get hit, and there's no foul call. And that's a dirty play. Think about someone doing that today. That was a dirty, like you literally see Bill Laimbeer going up with two arms across Michael Jordan's body in midair, trying to chop down on him, and the man still dunked on him, and then just looked at him like a fool, and no fouls called.
Sean Kemp's dunk. Sean Kemp had a lot of them. My God.
Sean Kemp has some great ones. The dunk that Michael Jordan had on Alonzo Mourning when he yells after it, man. He's like, yeah. When he dunks on Alonzo,
because he got fouled. He got the shit fouled out of him, and he still finished it. I'd fucking scream too.
Man, Dominic Wilkins has some crazy dunks. And like I said, the beauty of a lot of these guys that we know as the in-game dunkers is that they were doing dunk contest level dunks in games, man. We always say that. That's the beauty of Dominic Wilkins. Like I said, someone like a Sean Kemp. You know, I remember Larry Johnson was a great dunker back then. Latrell Sprewell was a really violent dunker, had some great dunks. Charles Barkley, man, was one of my favorite in-game great dunkers. I mean, Charles Barkley used to come with that two-handed cock back behind the head. I mean, my God, man, he would come flying in with some of these dunks, Charles Barkley. David Robinson, shout out to David Robinson. David Robinson, to me, as a guy that's over 7 feet tall, he has some of the greatest in-game dunks for a guy over 7 feet tall. He would come with those double clutch reverse dunks, David Robinson. He has some really great dunks, man.
Since you mentioned Alonzo Mourning, I'm going to go ahead and mention Vince Carter, because those guys had some great meetups under the rim. And shout out to Alonzo Mourning for having the balls to challenge it. And damn, and Vince Carter getting met at the rim and still bringing that thing from way back and finishing on a motherfucker like Alonzo Mourning. I mean, that's one of the nuttier things I've seen. But I also want to shout out Blake Griffin, because Blake Griffin always made me think about somebody who wasn't capable of dunking and then was blessed with the capability of dunking, and was like, I'm gonna dunk every goddamn chance I get. I was like, that's how I would probably have played when I watched Blake Griffin. I'm like, I'm dunking every fucking time I can.
No, you're right. That's what he did around the rim a lot, man. Shout out to those guys that you mentioned that were really great dunkers. Some of the guys, shout out to Robert Pack. I don't know if you guys remember Robert Pack. He was one of those guys that was one of the short dunkers. But Robert Pack used to get up, man. Played for the Denver Nuggets for some years and a couple other teams. But shout out to Robert Pack, along with the guys like the Spud Webbs, the guys who used to get up that were little, that weren't, necessarily known for being these tall guys, but these guys would go up. We all know that, someone like Kobe Bryant would come out there and banging on you. Kevin Garnett was a great dunker in a lot of these games, man. So shout out to those guys.
We are actually going to get to this, I think, but we're having some fun here. We're talking some old school basketball, and we got to get to some more super chats. It's AOH and Randy Macho Man today on the live stream.
Yeah.
And
remember Derrick Rose? Derrick Rose a great dunker too.
Oh, that's
for a
true.
guy that's not that big.
That's true. Austin Casey, to y'all's point about just running from 3-point line to 3-point line. Oh man, this is a long time ago. Yep. That distance is only around 30 or so feet. So you're running 1/3 of the court, which is 94 feet. Yeah.
I mean, think about it, guys. I'm not saying that to knock these guys, to say like, oh, whatever. But the point that we're making when we talk about the 3-point line is clear. When you watch the game, think about it. They're shooting these threes so fast sometimes that as soon as it comes off the rim and the guys are turning to go play defense, someone already threw up another shot. They're coming back the other way already at some of these plays. You guys have watched this. There's no one under the rim to get the rebound because no one got down court yet. So these guys literally did not even move. They literally maybe went 10 feet. They went 10 feet, they turned to run, and the play's coming back already because the guy shot a three already. You watched that many times. I'm not lying about that.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. So Justin Messenger thinks the Wilt Chamberlain Archive needs to join you guys on these lives, and I think that's the plan.
That is the plan.
Yeah.
Yup, shout out to Will Chamberlain Archive or Justin Messenger. We are working on it. You know, sometimes it's hard to get all of our schedules lined up. You know, some of us are in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, you know, whatever the case may be. So it's hard for us to link up sometimes, but we are working to link up to have Will Chamberlain Archive come on live with us and hopefully have him as a regular guest, you know, on some of our lives that me and AOH do.
What's up, Dallas? Good to see you. Steve Nash. I sat there and watched him let Irving and Durant ball hog against Boston and win only one game. Question for you, Robin. Is there a membership for your page? And I can answer that. There is.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to my man Dallas for coming through. True supporter again. Like all you guys are true supporters coming through. Yeah, absolutely. There's membership, man. You guys know the deal. Like I said, don't worry about the memberships, none of that stuff, man. Like I said, you guys just coming through right now. It means a lot. That's the support, man.
Terrence Potts. KD has been exposed physically. Physicality is his kryptonite. Talking is also his kryptonite. Like he needs. Exactly. I think it was one of the things that were more likable about KD was being low key and quiet. And they say quiet waters run deep. They also say the empty can rattles the most. KD, the more you talk, the more you're hurting yourself. You know, when you were quiet, we could at least guess at what your intelligence level was. The more you talk, you're taking the guessing out of it.
For real. Like I said, this doesn't make any sense, man. Guys, all respect it.
Jessica with a big, fat, juicy super chat. Thank you. Randy, read that.
Yo, shout out to Jessica McKenzie coming through. Jordan played with tendinitis, bloody sore feet, flu, a broken foot, and so on. And you never heard him complain like LeBron. Yet LeBron cries like a baby and hams it up when he has a sore pinky. Yet he's called the GOAT. Absolutely. Shout out to Jessica for coming through. I mean, there's really nothing for us to add to that. That's the facts right there.
No, just the frustration that everything she said is true. And
Michael Jordan never let you know what he was dealing with. He just went out there and dealt with it. He just did those things. I tell you guys all the time, I remember the 91 NBA Finals when Michael Jordan came out. I think it was game 4. I can't remember which game it was. It might have been game 4. He came out with the slit down his toe on his sneaker. He literally started the game with a sneaker that had a split down the middle because his big toe was so swollen and he needed to relieve the pressure on his foot because it was hurting so much. That's how he attempted to start the game. But if you remember watching that game, he couldn't continue the game like that. So he went back into dealing with the pain, playing a regular shoe without the slit down. There's no excuses, man. This is what you deal with when you're trying to win a championship, when you're a true competitor, man, when you have heart and grit. Not everyone got that grit like that, man. Not everyone got that. Not everyone got the pain threshold of a Kobe Bryant, of a Michael Jordan, of some of these great athletes. Larry Bird, his nickname was Grit. He was known for having grit. So not everyone can have that kind of stuff. That's what separates a lot of these guys. They're able to deal with more. You guys remember Rocky Balboa. What did he say? It's about your ability to get hit and keep going forward, to take it and keep going. That's what these guys did. That's what they do.
And Terrence Potts, like, thanks for continuing to come through. And again, I can't add more to what Jessica said. Thank you. I just am frustrated that everything you said is true and people still cheer for this guy. Yep. Terrence, Dominique Wilkins with the in-game dunk contest dunks. That's true. That's true.
Yep. real, man. Crazy stuff that he was doing out there. Shout out to my man JC. I see he threw Tom Chambers' name out there. Hell yeah, man. Tom Chambers used to banging on people, man. I remember Tom Chambers. Shout out to Tom Chambers. Like I said, he was legit banging on you. You could say that Tom Chambers' dunk on Mark Jackson is arguably the greatest dunk of all time. I mean, his knees were at Mark Jackson's head. It was crazy. I actually saw Michael Jordan in a dunk. I'm sorry, AOH. I saw Michael Jordan in a game one time. I think it was Scott Skiles, maybe, that he almost jumped over in a game. Like when Scott Skiles was like a rookie or something, and Michael Jordan almost jumped over Scott Skiles.
I want to do an entire show of that dunk on Mark Jackson because it's so interesting to watch in slow motion. It's confusing. It's confusing to understand exactly what the physics are. I understand that the contact is supposed to have lifted him, but it already looks like he was going there. Like it looks kind of fake. It looks like he's on a cable.
Yo, but that's a crazy dunk right there. And like I said, someone like, Tom Chambers, like I said, he was a guy that would bang it on you in games. A lot of these guys that we're mentioning, all these guys that we're mentioning, they weren't just in a dunk contest dunkers. Guys like Desmond Mason or Jason Richardson, some of these guys I remember, these guys were banging on you in games, and they would have a wide variety, an assortment, an array of different dunks they can do. That's the key. Karl Malone used to have a lot of dunks, but he had one dunk. That was Karl Malone. He didn't have the dunks of Charles Barkley or David Robinson or Clyde Drexler or Michael Jordan. That's LeBron James. He has one basic, simple dunk that he's done a lot of times, but he doesn't have the overall package.
Jason Richardson, Warrior.
Larry Nance. Shout out to Larry Nance. Jimmy James, I see you, man.
Roland Curtis shouts out Vince's dunk on Morning, the greatest alpha dunk. Pretty good. Pretty damn good.
Vince Carter's got a lot of great dunks on a lot of great shot blockers. Like I said, when you look at a lot of the guys that they're dunking on, you're like, damn, man, they were banging on some legit guys. They're banging it on the Tyson Chandlers, of the early 2000s. They're banging on the Ben Wallaces. They're banging on some of these guys.
Justin Messenger says Kobe had a dislocated finger, had it set, and went back in. And today we got people on the injured list sitting out because of soreness. Fucking pinky sprains and soreness.
I posted on my channel like a couple of weeks back, Jim Brown, who played back in the 1900s and whatever. This dude played back in, back in them days. Jim Brown never missed a single NFL game, guys. Not a single NFL game. And he played for the Cleveland Browns, guys. Never missed a single game. You're telling me that Jim Brown wasn't being tired of hearing all kinds of things from people in the stands? You're telling me Jim Brown wasn't tired for coming out there every game and just tired for playing for the city of Cleveland or the organization of the Cleveland Browns? You tell me Jim Brown didn't want to take a day off? He didn't want to take a game off? The man was out there every single freaking game, Jim Brown. Like I said, living in harsher conditions, living in a harsher world, in a harsher reality, dealing with much more pressure. Jim Brown, some of those great guys, the Muhammad Ali's, what they represented for black people back in them days. That's the kind of pressure that was on someone like Jim Brown to go out there and carry himself with the integrity, to carry himself with the honor, to be classy, so he can earn the respect of the contemporaries, of the people out there, so that he can speak up. People are not going to listen to you if you don't earn the respect of them first. They have to respect you to listen to you. So Jim Brown can't have a voice just because he's good at football. He has to carry himself a certain way. So the pressure that was on Jim Brown, the effort that he gave, never missing a single NFL game back in them days, guys.
That's crazy.
Being the running back of the team when everyone's stacking the defense and box against you. This man's dealing with defenses focused on stopping him. Guys are cheap shotting him, stepping on him on the bottom of piles. They're trying to punch him through his face mask, trying to twist his arms, all of this stuff. And the man never missed a damn game.
There's a special. I don't remember if it was a 30 by 30, but there's one about Butkus and Jim Brown and the Cavaliers just doing nothing for them while they gave everything. Stan says, let me put that up there. Just sending some support. It is hard for me to come through consistently these days, but that pain and treatment Larry was going through with his back in the 92 Olympics was wild. So first of all, thank you for your support. Secondly, Secondly, I included that in a video I was doing, and when I think it was Colin Coward who shat on the Dream Team. Fucking Colin Coward. Boy, that's somebody that I'd like to make pay for his sins. Larry Bird was laying on the sidelines and was in pain. And what I pointed out was when Larry went in, he was on. He looked disabled on the sidelines, but when he went in, he brought it.
Yep.
It's not like he went out.
Larry Bird. You know, like you said, Colin Cowherd, the disrespect that he showed to the great legends that were on the 92 Dream Team, Larry Bird in particular. Remember how they talked about Larry Bird being washed up? Oh, Larry Bird. Yes, that wasn't Larry Bird of 86.
I said Colin Coward can't be forgiven. I said he can't be forgiven for it.
But
Colin Coward can't be forgiven for that.
Larry Bird played a game, like you mentioned, AOH. What was he able to still do at that level, at that point in time of his career? He still had the IQ to go out there and be effective because of the overall game, the skills, and the fundamentals of Larry Bird. Whenever you got, see, once again, I'm going to take it back to playing basketball. How many of you guys have been out on the basketball court and the old guy shows up? This guy looks like he's 70, 80 years old, but he comes out here and he wants to run the court. So he comes out there and plays the game. Yeah, he's not moving super fast, but what is he playing with? How can he be effective? Because he's playing with the fundamentals of the game. The fundamentals. If you have the fundamentals, that's going to allow you to be effective to a degree on the basketball court, to be competent on the basketball court, regardless of your athleticism or your overall skills. You fall back on your fundamentals. It's the same thing we talk about in training. When you talk about tactics and you're being trained for something, why do you think you're being trained? So you can fall back on your training in an emergency situation. You fall back on your tactics. The tactics are supposed to be second to nature to you. So you're practicing this much, you're training so much that you don't think about these things. You're reacting. That's what training does for you. That's what having your fundamentals do for you in the game of basketball. So these older guys can come out there and still play the old man game and be effective.
Still to come, believe it or not, Kelvin Washington.
Let me grab some water. Hold on, AOH.
Yeah. Just the Messenger says, let's not forget Daryl Dawkins breaking backboards. I was actually thinking something similar. I was like, isn't that amazing that we haven't even mentioned Daryl Dawkins, whom you risk serious injury trying to stop his dunk. And he didn't even make it into the initial list of people we were talking about. I see the super from Roland, but I'm going to wait for SNFR to get back for that one. So again, Kelvin Washington gave me a lot of fuel, and I found more information while disproving this guy than I even expected to. So it's turned into quite the video project that I'm working on. We're gonna touch on it a little bit near the end of this show. But shout out to our supporters. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for enjoying this. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the memberships. And even if you're not one of those, we still appreciate you being here. Unless you're a LeBron fan, I don't have time for you. Robin will entertain your stupidity, but I don't have time for you guys. What I missed? I'm old. No, I'm just shouting people out, and I said I appreciate everyone except for LeBron fans. Hey, Roland Curtis had this one, and I said I wanted to wait until you were back. I'll just go ahead and read it and take it.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Roland Curtis again, man, coming through. Robin always mentions that LeBron has gone 12 years without winning the MVP. Can you guys confirm that after it took Mike Jordan 4 years to win his first MVP, MJ never went 2 years without winning the MVP? Absolutely. I mentioned, shout out to Roland Curtis again.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talk about that.
Go ahead, AOH.
No, I was going to say, the reason I can confirm it is because you talk about it.
Yeah, no, and when we talk about Michael Jordan's career and the MVPs that he won, he won them, and like you said, in multiple stages of his career. So he won the MVPs towards the beginning of his career, in the middle of his career, and at the end of his career. Remember, Michael Jordan still to this day is the only MVP to retire after winning an MVP. known in the history of the game. I mean, think about that. Michael Jordan essentially retired at the peak of his game. When they talk about LeBron James,
Robin.
LeBron James has been out here doing fluff and buff. He's been out here sashaying around the court, just racking up stats and money. But there's been no substance to these years. Michael Jordan literally retired after winning the MVP.
You know what LeBron did multiple times throughout his career at different stages of his career? Got swept.
And remember, LeBron James never even won an MVP in his 30s. Michael Jordan won multiple MVPs in his 30s. Hell, Karl Malone won multiple MVPs in his 30s. Steve Nash won multiple MVPs after turning 30. So when we talk about some of these guys that were able to do these things or sustain some level of dominance or greatness in their careers, Hakeem Olajuwon won an MVP after turning 30. LeBron James hasn't done these kinds of things. So when they mention the word dominance, it's not really applicable for someone like LeBron James. He's been hanging around putting up some numbers, but it hasn't been dominance or led to MVPs.
So McZuggins has an interesting super chat here. I'm going to need your help with it. 87 to 1998, Jordan missed 154 games, 147 of those while being in the Major League Baseball League, 7 in the NBA. From 2014 to 2025, LeBron missed 161 games. No other sport, but Malcolm X weighs 2 pounds, though. Sorry, that went over my head.
No, but you're talking about the book, the Malcolm X book. Listen, shout out to McZuggins. McZuggins always got.
What's the 2 pounds mean?
What?
Of course, I know him fake reading the book, but what's the 2 pounds part?
I'm assuming the book weighs 2 pounds.
Did LeBron say that or something?
No, but he's making a joke. I'm assuming they're making a joke about this. But that's very interesting. And you talk about the games that Michael Jordan missed versus the games that LeBron James had missed, in his career, from these years of LeBron James. I mean, it's just laughable when they celebrate LeBron James for his consistency or for his longevity, for his, ability to keep himself in shape all these years when the man's taking off games and missing all these games. It's like, I want people to think, when Kevin Durant speaks about Michael Jordan, the commitment, and Kevin Durant talks about how much more running they have to do now, they're doing all this running. Does anyone believe when you watch LeBron James, let's say you watched LeBron James' game last year, one game of the Lakers, LeBron James played 35 minutes in that game. Does anyone think watching those actual quote unquote minutes, does anyone think those are actual the same minutes that Michael Jordan was playing? When you watch Michael Jordan play, when he's getting across half court, a lot of those minutes of LeBron James, he's literally doing this. He's not doing anything for a lot of those minutes. He's not getting across half court. He's not guarding his man. He's not doing anything out there. But those are minutes that he's accumulating on his career. It's not the same thing. The effort that Michael Jordan gave, Kevin Durant knew nothing about that on the defensive end.
Yeah, Mark Malling had a good point. Jordan had those little gaps in between some of those MVPs, and we could easily make the argument that there shouldn't even be those gaps. Karl Malone didn't deserve the MVP over Jordan. And the reason I know that for a fact is that at the time I cheered that Malone got it just because I was cheering against Jordan. And my peers were like, yeah, come on. Malone.
Michael Jordan, when you think about that way, I feel like, he didn't shortchange himself. He shortchanged his accolades. That's what he did. He didn't shortchange himself or his career. He just really shortchanged the amount of accolades that he could have had. But that's really when we highlight, or why we highlight, that the stats, the accolades are not the A-all, B-all.
Hip Clip says the reason why this generation disrespects the old school players is because they know they will never compare. So it's easier to throw shade than work hard.
Well,
it's so embarrassing that that's a tactic. I mean, it's a cop out, and it's lazy, and it's easier. It's easier than doing the work and actually accomplishing. Hey, I can't do it. Let's make some excuses and just shit on other people.
No, because that's perfect. Because what Kevin Durant said, his response to that fan was just that. His response was to someone saying, how come you and LeBron James combined for less 82-game seasons in your careers than Michael Jordan did in his career? And Kevin Durant made an excuse. right? He didn't want to give Michael Jordan any props and give Michael Jordan credit and say, hey, listen, man, Michael Jordan's tough. He's a competitor. He got grit like that. He was out there pushing through pain, giving that effort, showing up, you know what I'm saying? And just give Michael Jordan's credit. But instead, he has to say, oh, well, the game, we're running more now, and there's a lot more stress on your tendons, and they're doing, come on, man, you sound ridiculous out here. Michael Jordan, the effort he gave on the court, you don't know nothing about. And you're trying to shortchange Michael Jordan instead of giving the man his props for going out there and playing the 82 games that often. That's not easy to do. That wasn't an easy feat. That's why that many people can't do it. But instead of realizing and recognizing the effort that it took to do that and giving them props regardless of the era they played in, they shortchanged their efforts by saying, oh, well, we do more now, or they played in this era, or they didn't have to do this. It's ridiculous.
I tell you what's hard on their joints or their tendons or whatever the dipshit said is constantly resting and then trying to play again.
Yep.
So are we ready to talk about Kelvin Washington?
Let's do it.
So there's two fundamental points, and that's that Kelvin Washington claims that he's trying to excuse LeBron for going to Miami. And his first argument is based on saying that LeBron did it because he knew he was going to be judged by a different set of criteria. And the second excuse is that Cleveland did nothing to help him. I want to start with the first part. First and foremost, we're talking about excuses. Everything that he's talking about is blaming other people. This, once again, as the last chat that I just read pointed out, they're trying to find a way to excuse failure by blaming others. That's even if it's a good argument, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're making an excuse for failure. Now, part two of that is, what does he mean LeBron's going to be judged by a different set of criteria? Rob Parker didn't push back on that, which I was disappointed in, because I'm literally dumbfounded. What do you mean? Who was about to judge him by a different set of criteria? Because I was going to judge him by the same criteria, and ultimately that's the problem. And I spent a lot of time on that on the video I'm working on. The problem is that LeBron being judged by the same criteria as Michael Jordan is a problem, because LeBron was not getting it done in Cleveland. Michael Jordan ultimately got it done in Chicago. LeBron was not. If you judge them on that criteria, that's a problem. So if anything, LeBron James should want to be judged on different criteria. So Kelvin Washington's first argument is based on nothing. And this is a guy who gets to be on TV brainwashing people. Part two is claiming that the Cavaliers did nothing for LeBron. Now, people like you and I know that that's not true, but a lot of people have heard it so often that they've accepted it as the truth. And it's not. It's just not. In fact, it is so far from the truth that the help the Cavaliers gave to LeBron James blows anything that was done for Michael Jordan out of the water. And I'm only looking at the first stints of their careers. I'm only looking at what was done with the rosters leading up to the first time each of them made it to the finals. So that's going to 2007 for LeBron James and the 90-91 season for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's championship team, the snapshot of it, consists almost entirely of people drafted by the Bulls. Almost no special moves. Almost no special moves made. Which means, and I think you talked about it early in the show, turning people into something. Now, of course, LeBron fans want to just pretend that this is fairy tale land and the Bulls managed to draft all the right people. I mean, you got to give some credit to something along the way that the people that were on Jordan's team happened to turn out great. And so many people that are LeBron's teammates turn out so badly. Yep. I guess it's just the world loves Jordan more than LeBron, and doesn't have anything to do with who they are as players and leaders and developers. Take it.
Yeah, let me go back to what you said originally. The first thing you said that he mentioned, the standard or what he's going to be judged or viewed as. And I think that's the sad reality for LeBron James. It's like you just mentioned. The problem is the standard, who you're being compared to, what people are going to say is viewed against Michael Jordan because he's the standard of the NBA. Everyone is viewed and compared to, if you're going to be like that, if you want to be mentioned with those guys, if you want to be the chosen one when you come in the league, you want to wear the number 23. If you're going to come in like that, then you're going to be compared to Michael Jordan because that's what you came in with the hype with. Like I said, you're wearing the number. You're making and forcing people to make those comparisons to you. No doubt about it. The sad reality is, though, like you said, he can't live up to that hype because the standard that Michael Jordan set, the bar, how high he set it, is unattainable for LeBron James. And it's really been unattainable since 2011. And I think we've all understood this. LeBron James don't want to come to terms with this. His fan base, his entourage, everyone that supports him out here in the media. So what this guy's doing is talking about, LeBron James not going to be viewed the same. No, he's going to be viewed the same way Michael Jordan was viewed. Because when Michael Jordan came in the league, do you think it was fair that he was being viewed or held to the standard of someone like Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, the guys that were winners, the guys who were holding in the faces of the league at the time? They were the guys that were setting the standard. I mean, then you start talking about the other comments that he made about the organization and what they did or didn't do for him. Once again, the burden's on the great players. The burden's on LeBron James to do something with those draft picks, whether they're great draft picks, whether they're not great draft picks, whether we remember those guys' names or not. I love when LeBron James fans say they'll do a screenshot of LeBron James with the roster and everyone else, right? And they'll be like, LeBron James took this team to the finals. And they just have the names there. And they'll say like, you don't know who these guys are. No one knows who they are. LeBron James carried bums. But really all you're highlighting is that LeBron James did not make you or allow you to remember those guys. He didn't make them household names. So you don't remember them like we remember the other guys. We've talked about this before. So the burden's on LeBron James to do something with those draft picks, to turn those guys into something, to turn Boobie Gibson into somebody, to make you remember Delonte West for, reasons other than what we remember him for now, to remember the Larry Hugheses for being greater than he was, for remember some of the guys that he played with later on in their careers that he turned into champions. LeBron James has never done this. Instead, like I said, the burden always fell on his teammates. So the organization is just another excuse. I mean, think about it. Do you hear any other player get the excuses made for him the way LeBron James, as far as the general managers and the presidents and the ownership of these leagues? I mean, no one even knows who the general manager is of these organizations. No one knows who these people are. Only from Michael Jordan and LeBron James, because he's always making an excuse. But then they tell you, Michael Jordan played for Jerry Krause, the greatest GM of all time. The great GM of all time, Jerry Krause, Michael Jordan played for. Because why? Because he's Michael Jordan. Because he made the guys that Jerry Krause drafted. He made you remember those guys. If those guys would have came to the Bulls and the Bulls weren't doing anything when they got there, then where would those guys have been? But Michael Jordan developed these guys. He worked with them in practice. He didn't ask for them to be traded. LeBron James don't want to work with dudes. So, like I always point out, Andrew Wiggins, a perfect example of this.
And another angle of looking at it is if you can actually accomplish a LeBron fan being in reality for a moment, take Will Perdue on your team and tell me that a LeBron fan is going to be satisfied with a Will Perdue. Nope. Come on.
Nope.
What reality are you living in? Will Perdue was drafted like pretty much everybody that you ended up learning about. Will Perdue is a standout guy, a player in history without being on that Bulls team. Come on, stop it. And that's not the shit on Will Perdue, but you forced me into talking about reality checks. Stacey King. Would you have known who Stacey King was? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, the extremes are, would you know who Scottie Pippen even was? Scottie Pippen may have fizzled out without the right leadership. B.J. Armstrong. I mean, they drafted B.J. Armstrong. They drafted Horace Grant. They drafted Oakley and then traded Oakley for obviously Cartwright. But still, that's a draft pick used in a trade. I'll give it away. There's one free agency move on that 1990-91 championship team. Can you guess who it is?
That year that came in that season?
No. In fact, he was on the Bulls before Jordan got there, if that helps at all. Well, John Paxson was just acquired prior to Michael Jordan joining the Bulls.
No, Michael Jordan was on the Bulls before John Paxson.
It's not what I have. Interesting. I better go and check this. It says that he was picked up in free agency while he was scoring 4.9 points a game.
Oh, wait, yeah. It's a Paxson, right? My fault. Paxson.
Yeah. That's the free agency move. Then you've got Oakley for Cartwright, and everything else is the organization depending upon draft picks working out.
Hold on a second here, man. See, this is the thing, man. When you're talking about these draft picks, and we're talking about the organization and what they're supposed to be doing or not supposed to be doing, like I said, when they're bringing up Jerry Krause and they bring up these guys and he talks about, the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't do anything for him. They brought talent in. They brought guys around him. Like I said, the burden's always on the star players. You think that Michael Jordan didn't look around the NBA when he first got to the league and he didn't feel a certain kind of way about the talents that some of the other contemporaries that he came in the league were playing with? Hakeem Olajuwon, when he first came in the league, had someone like Ralph Sampson on the team. Now, we know that Ralph Sampson ended up getting injured down the road and they never were able to develop anything, but he still had him there when he first got there. When Charles Barkley got to the Sixers, when he first came in the league, he had Dr. J and Moses Malone on his team. When Magic Johnson came into the NBA, he had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on his team. Larry Bird played with a lot of great players early in his career. He didn't have to wait around for a Scottie Pippen to come and develop over the years. So you think Michael Jordan didn't look at someone like even Isaiah Thomas? Look at Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas likes to paint this picture that he beat Michael Jordan, he beat Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. I beat them, I did this. But Isaiah Thomas was doing nothing in the NBA until Chuck Daly got to the Detroit Pistons. They were not making the playoffs. They were not doing anything as a team until Chuck Daly got there. But also, he had guys like Bill Lane be there. They had Vinny the Microwave Johnson. And then all of a sudden, they started to acquire guys like Joe Dumars in drafts, right? They drafted a guy like Dennis Rodman, right? You start getting to some of these other players, Mark Aguirre, and some of these other players. So you have a team around you. So when these guys talk about what they were doing when they were doing it, they had players around them, and they helped those guys to be great. Michael Jordan didn't have that luxury early in his career. He had no one on that team.
Yeah, I actually said in the video, I was like, Jordan had to be a veteran before he was a veteran. And the Cavaliers, you end up with Jordan, who's actually pretty young, is one of the older guys on the team.
What I'm saying is, like, when I was talking earlier, John Paxson came to the Bulls the year after Michael Jordan was drafted there, guys. I want to make that clear, but we said earlier. John Paxson came to the Bulls in 1986. Right. Michael Jordan came to the Bulls in 1985. I want people to understand something. I made a video about this. Right. Michael Jordan led the Chicago Bulls to the playoffs every single season from the minute he got there during a rebuild. They were rebuilding the Bulls around him. John Paxson is the only guy that was on that roster from that time when Michael Jordan got there from 86 to make it on the biggest of the championship teams. Everyone else was being traded during that time. All of those guys were gone. Everybody from the 85 roster, everybody from the 86 roster, all those guys were gone. Remember, they traded away Charles Oakley for Bill Cartwright. So they made a lot of these moves. They were rebuilding. Remember, they had 3 different head coaches during Michael Jordan's first 3 seasons. First 3 years, 3 different head coaches. All these moves being ran around you. You're still making the playoffs, though.
Yeah, you're right. I said that wrong. John Paxson did come in the year later, but the point is that he was the only free agency move. Everyone else was a draft pick or a trade for a draft pick in the case of Charles Oakley, which means, with the exception of Bill Cartwright, Michael Jordan ends up being the oldest guy on that team, and he's not even old.
And I want people to understand that some of the players that the Bulls had, that they had as role players that, played some minutes here and there during these playoff runs, during the NBA Finals, a lot of those guys were journeymen. They had played for several teams before coming to Chicago Bulls and finding a home. I mean, even someone like Ron Harper, he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, then he played for the Clippers, and then he came to Chicago Bulls, right? So we talk about someone like Ron Harper making a sacrifice, right? But kind of like looking for a home. But he found a home on the Chicago Bulls. He found a role on the Chicago Bulls. So he sacrificed and found the role because he was able to do that because Michael Jordan, the leader, ultimately allowed these guys to have those roles. When you think about someone like Luke Longley, he's a journeyman in the NBA. Steve Kerr was on multiple teams before he came to Chicago Bulls. Hell, even Dennis Rodman was on the Pistons, then played for the San Antonio Spurs, and then looked like he didn't know where he was going to be, ended up playing, and ended up on Chicago Bulls. He was looking for a home, right? And he found a home on the Chicago Bulls. A lot of these guys, the Bison Dele's, right? The Randy Browns, the Dickie Simpkins, some of these guys that you don't even remember that played and had played minutes, the Judd Bushlers, right? The Bob Hansons, the Cliff Livingstons, the Craig Hodges. Those guys were journeymen. These are journeymen that played for multiple teams in their careers that were looking for homes, and they found the home, they found a role with Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls.
I think a lot of people think that like Rodman was this desired acquisition that the Bulls jumped through hoops to get, but no, he was pretty much ostracized. Pretty much nobody wanted him at that point. They took a big risk in order to get him. But something else that LeBron whined about recently, even though it wasn't about him, he always finds a way to whine, which was talking with jealousy about Cooper Flagg's situation going to Dallas. And he's like, I never got that. I never had that. I mean, this grown man literally goes, unlike me, me with my hardships. So LeBron James had an all-star in Ilgauskas already on the team. And he had that guy the entire time he was there, the first stint. Yeah. Jordan never had that.
Nope.
Jordan never had an established all-star waiting for him to arrive. And then the Cavaliers, instead of LeBron James becoming the leader, had to bring in veteran attempts at leadership, like bringing in Eric Snow, bringing in Doniel Marshall, people. And it literally says that the trades were done in order to bring in experience to build around LeBron James.
Yo, AOH, man, you made a great point there. You brought up Eric Snow. That's fantastic, man. People forget Eric Snow was the point guard for the Philadelphia 76ers when they went to the NBA Finals in 2001. Eric Snow was on that team. He was the guy that would be out there playing defense on the other side, helping Allen Iverson in the backcourt. So shout out to Eric Snow because he had that experience like you talked about in those moments. The Chicago Bulls in 91, when the Bulls finally broke through and won, none of those players on that team had any experience in an NBA Finals. I told you, they were the first team to ever win the Finals without having anyone on the roster with any experience. That's developing your team. That's building cohesion. That's earning it.
The real Siberius is back. Thank you for your generosity. I recently started my own channel, so I now know what this takes. We have to support the content creators. YouTube makes it very difficult to succeed, especially when you are trying to tell the truth. Damn, isn't that true? Hey,
yo, shout out to the real Siberius, man, for starting a channel.
I spent 5.5 years in obscurity.
Yup. I mean, Joe, for real, it's not easy, like I said, to come out here and do these kinds of things. It requires a lot of effort. And like I said, just keep staying with these things, man.
Eyal Sabag is back. It's really annoying. No one is addressing the fact that LeBron depleted the Eastern Conference with his Miami move. And fanboys praise those finals. Yeah. He not only strengthened his team, he was picking from the same competition basket.
It's crazy, man. When you talk about LeBron James and Kevin Durant both sitting there on that damn podcast, talking the way they were talking, when both of those guys made the moves that they made. This dude, Kevin Durant, made the equivalent of Michael Jordan going and joining the Detroit Pistons in 1991. It's insane the level that Kevin Durant went to, like I said, to try to act as if his championships are legit. And we all know, like my man just mentioned, that LeBron James took all the best players from his own conference to weaken it just so he could try to say, hey, man, I went to 8 straight.
So we're at 2 hours. I think we'll wrap this up. And
yeah, we've been rocking.
If anyone else is still trying to post a super chat, get it in. Don't want you posting it after we've there's a delay, so sometimes it shows up after we've already stopped being live. But today was good. Lots of topics, lots of history, lots of NBA reality checks, lots of great supporters. Good to see everybody in there.
For real. You're right, AOH. Shout out to my man, Hit him. Like I said, I see you guys out there continue coming through. Everyone that came through with the supers. Like I said, everyone who came through and made comments. Shout out to my man, Uncut Hoops. I saw he came through. Shout out to my man, Will Chamberlain in the archive. I see he came through. He hit it with some education, give some facts. Like I said, we're going to try to get him to join me and AOH on one of these lives. Like I said, AOH is another great show, man. I had a great time again, man. Everyone, I hope you have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, Robin. Good to see you. Thanks, everybody. Catch you on the next one.